Hey guys, we are back going over some One Piece Treasure Cruise treasure map teams once again. It's that time of the month again. We are going over the June treasure map this time as part of the 11th anniversary of OPTC. And this time we're fighting Franky and Sanji was the unit that we're super evolving from the PKA. Unit doesn't seem too bad overall. I actually like what they bring to the table. I think it's a pretty good kit overall. I would say nothing to really complain about. I guess the worst thing about them is that more so than being a Franky unit, it's a Sanji unit. So, there is some overlay with some other good Sanji characters in the game. But that being said, since this treasure map is part of the 11th anniversary still, this is the last 11th anniversary treasure map. But basically, since it is part of the 11th anniversary celebration, we still get the benefit from using the 11th anniversary ship, so there is going to be the 5 extra turns of cooldown for any character that you take. And it's a good rainbow ship, so you should still be using that until it's not boosted anymore. As well as this one will also have the 20 million rewards points. So just like last month's treasure map, it's going to have more points. And once you get to the 20 million points instead of the 10 million to get like all the rewards and stuff like that. So very exciting for that. And also, since this is an 11th anniversary celebration one, just like last month, also every team is going to have 5 extra turns of cooldown at the start. So every character will get 5 turns of special, versus gauge, and super switch at the start, regardless of what character it is. It isn't just for the first battle rush fight like normal. So with all that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump into the breakdowns now. So the first team is versus Fujitora, and the first battle rush one is always the easiest one we know. So this one, they're weak to fighter class, and all you have to worry about is your top row is going to be binded for 10 turns. Super, super, super easy to get around this one. So we know it's 7 turns with sockets. So they recommend using the Franky and the Sanji. So Franky and Sanji have double special launch. And if you see here in their special, they're going to remove... How many turns of bind do they remove? Reduces bind by 4 turns each one. So double special launch, you'll go ahead and launch them twice. And you'll go ahead and get the 8 turns removed of it there. So easy, easy, easy with them. So as far as like the enemy being weak to fighters, I put Bon Clay on here because I couldn't really find like a better captain. Bon Clay is a treasure map MVP. He's just perfect for it. So he'll give you full board matching slots. He'll give you base attack boost. He can swap to int and give you super int. He'll also give you a chain lock. Koala's here for color affinity. Atlas for attack boost. And Carrot and Wanda and Carrot, they're only there just for the orb boost. So super easy fight on that one. So if we go on to the next fight, it's going to be against Ryokuyo, Green Bull. And this one, they recommend using Bluegrass. And it is weakness driven. Half of your slots are going to be blocked. The other half are going to be super bomb. And you have 6 turns of defense up on the enemy side. So Bluegrass takes care of all this, like herself. Because if you check over here on her crewmate ability, which crewmate ability is it? Right here. She makes shooter and driven characters bomb and super bomb slots matching. So for those of you new players who don't know, super bomb slots are unable to be changed. So if the enemy gives them to you, you can't alter them in any way. It's kind of like having like a Wano slot or a rainbow slot or a Simla slot. They can't be altered by the enemy. Super bomb slots are the same way. They can't be changed by you. Kind of like a super block, unless like you have specifically something to make them be changed. But she makes them matching for all of our driven characters, and since driven is a weakness, we're running with a full driven team. So she also fully removes the defense up, all the turns of it. And what else was on here? She's going to give us a slot buff. So since the enemy's weak to driven, I decided to use Buggy as a captain. All these, by the way, until we get to the last 2 teams, are going to be, you just double up. The friend captain's the same as like your regular captain. So I went with Treasure Map Buggy because he's going to give you a slew of driven effects. He's going to give you base attack buff, full board of matching slots. He's going to give you resistance down for driven characters. He's going to give you driven territory. And he's also going to give you a driven class advantageous effect. And he will give you a super driven type also, because we do have Crocodile on the team to trigger that. So with Croc, you want to go with the super evolved treasure map Crocodile. And the reason why I want to take him is because he buffs cerebral and driven. The non-super evolved one is only for cerebral, so we'll use him on the next team, and you'll see why, like the difference in it. So with using him, we're going to get a chain boundary, but we're also going to get an attack buff to our driven characters. And then lastly, we have Lucci and Kaku here. All you need to do with them is just their super swap, because with their super swap, you're going to get a type affinity for your driven characters, and that's all. Blackbeard's only here for points. Once it gets, and he's driven, once it gets to where I can super evolve, oh, wait. I actually forgot. We're super evolving Sanji. We're not super evolving. This is the Mihawk that we super evolved at the recent co-op thing. He boosts treasure points by 1.35. How much does Blackbeard boost it? Because I wanted to go with the bigger booster here. Blackbeard's 1.25, yeah. Yeah, I'm tripping. I thought it was like a treasure map. Like, it was like the treasure map character where, you know, sometimes we'll put in like the unevolved treasure map character after we super evolve them. So that way we can get, like another like point booster and stuff like that. But since we've already evolved Mihawk, Blackbeard was literally just there because he was driven. If you have an extra Mihawk, like I have an unevolved one, throw him on there just for the points and stuff like that, and you can just put any support on him. So I'm just going to put Zoro for the stat buff. He's not... Buggy is a rainbow captain. He won't have as big of a buff, but he's not going to get the buff from the other characters since all the buffs we're using are for driven characters anyway. So he's just there for points. So that's a kind of like a free space for you guys. So anybody can go there. Let me make sure I didn't mess up our sockets. Yeah, okay, cool. All right, next is versus Garp. So this is the one you want to use that unevolved 6-star version of Crocodile, and I'll show you why in just a second. So for the guide versus Garp, it recommends using York and Vice Admiral Dahl. I didn't get Vice Admiral Dahl, so I built around using her. So for this one, it nullifies your potential abilities. Weak to cerebral. So nullify potential abilities means we can't use super tandem, final tap, or rush, anything like that. But that also means you can't use double special launch. You can launch the first special, but your potential ability won't trigger you getting the special back. So just note that. Also, since it nullifies potential abilities, you can't get hunger resistance. So you actually will have to consume either 2 recovery slots or 2 Simla slots. So that's important to know, and that's why York's recommended. And there's a 1-turn hit barrier of 25 hits. So the way we set this team up is you want to use Crocodile for your... he's going to give you a chain boundary, and he's going to give you a cerebral attack buff. Also, you won't get access to his superclass unless you swap the ship to... which one is it? It's not that one. It's this Moby Dick. So if you use this Moby Dick, you see it immediately cuts your health to 50% at the start. And once your health is 50%, that automatically triggers Crocodile's superclass. So if damage gets tight, you can switch over to this ship, so that way you can get the statistical buff of his superclass. So we have Morley and Karasu here. There's a specific order of operations I set up for like these specials to be here. Sorry, my nose is starting to run chat because of Haley here with her like fur like going everywhere. So hang on, let me like see like how are we like running this one. Let me switch over to the iPad. I got the treasure map planner pulled up on here as soon as it decides to open up. Okay, let me see, what was this Bella Betty support for? She gives slot buff. I got it, okay. So you want to use Morley and Karasu because we have the Bella Betty support on them. So what they're going to do is they're going to give us a conditional, or not conditional, sorry, a base attack buff. And they're also going to buff some of the other stuff that we have active right now, but that doesn't really like matter to us. Then after you use them, the Bella Betty support, she's on there because she's going to give us a slot buff. And if you use a Pacifista, if you have a slot buff, it'll increase it. As well as if you have a slot buff, they're going to give you class advantageous effect for cerebral characters. So that will then trigger Morley and Karasu's super type, which can be launched as a crewmate. So you see here when any of the two following characters are on there or when crew has class advantageous effect. So that will give us resistance down, as well as it changes the crew slots to tandem. And it's going to make the Dex characters super Dex. So that's why we might not need like to even worry about Crocodile's super class, because we're already going to get super type from Morley and Karasu. So Stussy's here because she's going to remove the she's going to remove that barrier from the enemy, and she will deal. Let me just double check. Captain Cerebral. Yeah, she's going to give us a conditional buff. She's going to delay the enemy through immunity and give us a conditional buff. And then lastly, you want to use York last, because after all the other like slot changes are done, you want to use hers to make sure you get those 2 recovery slots, since our hunger potential abilities won't matter. And York is just going to mainly here just to change the bottom row to give us the 2 recovery slots. And just make sure you consume those 2 recovery slots first, get rid of the hunger, and then you can go ahead and like take out Garp afterwards. Oh, also for our type affinity, since Crocodile gives an attack buff, it'll trigger this Inaru support, and that Inaru support is going to give us a 1.5 type affinity for cerebral characters. Alright, next is going into the Sakazuki fight. Let me just see which support was necessary on this one. Okay, I got it. So versus Sakazuki, Zoro and Mihawk are recommended. So the recently super evolved Zoro and the recent super evolved Mihawk that we got from Co-op, he's the recommended Mihawk, not that legend Mihawk that just came out with the Zoro batch a while back. So with it being Zoro and Mihawk recommended, as you can guess, Sakazuki's weak to slashers. So the top row is going to get hit with special bind. Your crewmate are going to get 2 turns of special reverse. You're going to have reduced damage from like a variety of slots for 2 turns. You don't even need to worry about what kind of slots those are and stuff, as long as you have Mihawk, and you'll see why in a second. And he's going to cut your health by 60%. And he's immune to everything but defense down, I just saw there. I thought he had like full immunity, because it seems like almost every boss has full immunity in this one. So Zoro, in his captain ability, if you look here, he just completely resists 10 turns of special bind. Perfect. Don't even have to worry about that one. And if you see here in his special, he reduces 2 turns of crewmate special charge time. So there you go. Perfect on that end. He's also going to go ahead and give you resistance down. He's going to give you slot effect buff. And let me see down here. Increased damage taken. I forgot. Yeah, he's going to give you increased damage taken also, because you're going to get that HP cut. That'll definitely give you more than enough to get past that 50,000 threshold. So you're going to get increased damage taken from Zoro also. Because we have Hiyori on the team, we're going to get access to a super type. So that's going to give us type affinity. Now if we go back and check Mihawk, Mihawk is going to reduce your damage from certain slot effects. So that's why I said you don't even have to worry about what slots it is, because he's just going to completely remove that. Gives you a final attack buff, which doesn't really matter. And slot effect we already got from Zoro, so we don't need to worry about that. And he didn't get a barrier, right? Because I know we have a Navy character on here. No, okay, yeah, we got everything else taken care of. So Kizaru's here just to give you like his chain buffs as well as territory for slashers. Make sure you have a Psy support on him, so that way you can get the slasher territory and not the shooter territory. Hiyori's here because she's going to trigger Zoro's super type, but also because she's going to give us a slasher attack buff. And lastly, Monet's here mainly just for points, but since it is a full team of slashers, she is going to give us another chain buff, and she's going to give us resistance down for slashers as well. So just extra damage there from Monet. So now going over to the final battle rush boss fight, and it's going to be against Kizaru. So this team, we're going to be using the full batch plus Saturn. So for this one, they recommend that you use the Rocks Pirates, Bonnie, and Kaido. So you see, there's a slew of stuff you have to like get ready for. So let me. The enemy's going to be weak to Slasher on stage 3. I'm going to go through what all the gimmicks are here, and then I'm going to break down what the characters are good for, and then I'll give you like the steps in which you should launch these specials. So for stage 2, you're going to get hit with 2 different chain debuffs. So attack down if you're less than 2.5 or over 3.5. So rather than worry about a chain lock to kind of get in the middle in there, we'll show you exactly what to do to take care of that. There's also reduced damage from type slots or recovery slots. The enemy is going to have threshold and 2 turns of damage nullification. Now once you get to stage 3, the enemy is going to be weak to Slasher. There's going to be 6 turns of attack down, 1 turn of hunger, or 1 stack of hunger, not 1 turn. Bottom row is going to be stunned. The enemy's going to apply their own territory. They're going to have Rainbow Shield, and if the Rainbow Shield's removed, they're going to re-add it and then stun your middle row. So you don't want to remove the Rainbow Shield, you want to way around it. So all that being said, this is the team we got set up, and there is some key supports on here. So let me go pull up also where I have the steps wrote down in the order that we would launch these specials. So this is versus Kizaru. So on stage 2, the first thing we want to do is we want to use the Rocks Pirates. And the reason why we want to use the Rocks Pirates is that when you launch, and by the Rocks Pirates, you see we have this one down here at the bottom. This is the one that you would want to use when I say the Rocks Pirates, because the friend captain for this one is going to be the Rocks Pirates. For this fight and the next fight, we're essentially using the same teams, except we're just switching the captain and friend captain in those, which will switch like this bottom unit here. So you'll see what I mean. So just know we're hybriding both of these fights here. We're going to be running 1 Rocks Pirates captain, 1 Rogers Pirates captain. So use your Rocks Pirates first on this one. And when you use them, just want to note that's also going to trigger the Parasparrow support that I have here, which is just to help you get past that chain minimum, and you'll see why in a minute. Because when a character uses their support, adds +4 to the chain multiplier from 1 turn. So Parasparrow is just going to give us a little bit of chain help there. So when you launch the Rocks Pirates special, they're going to add territory for the strikers, as well as remove chain attack down when above a certain, not when below. So because the chain minimum attack down is still going to be there, that's why you want that Parasparrow support on there, just to give you a little bump to your chain to get like over that easily. But I don't think we're going to have to like worry about it too much. So just keep that in mind. Next, it's going to change all your slots, one side into tandem, right side into tandem, left side into Simla slots. Now, if you have orb buff, apply set target stat, we're not going to have like that. I don't believe. Let me go back and see real quick. What? No, we're not going to have an orb buff when we launch that right then, which is no biggie. Yeah, I'm just double checking like how I have the team set up, which is no problem. We're not going to be like worrying about damage, so we won't get like that, but we will get an orb buff for them, and a very, very strong orb buff. So they're going to apply an orb buff. We won't have one before. So after launching the Rocks Pirates, you're going to want to go ahead and launch Saturn. And I know you're probably thinking like, why would you launch Saturn here when he has that huge attack buff? Why launch him on stage 2? You want to launch Saturn on this stage because you can't launch him on the final stage in this fight. Because, again, if that Rainbow Shield is removed, you get hit with, like, other bad debuffs, and he completely removes Rainbow Shield. So you want to use Saturn here. So Saturn is going to apply another territory, which doesn't really matter because he's the only driven character on here. but he's going to give you the big attack buff, and that's really like the only reason why he's here is just to give you the attack buff. So he plays a bigger role in the other team, but he's just here to give you attack buff. So you have the large attack buff and the large orb buff. Paraspare gives you that little bit of a chain bump. Should be no problem to get through that second stage. Now, once you get to the third stage, you want to launch Kaido to remove the attack down. Now, I don't know why they didn't make the enemy have immunity to everything but increased damage taken, because Kaido deals increased damage taken and delay, but not through immunity for either. And all these characters are like, or these two boss fights specifically, they have full immunity on both stages. So Kaido's kind of like useless here, except to remove. He gets rid of your stun by cutting your health, and he removes the attack down. Like, that's really all he's good for here. He's going to give you a base attack boost too, but I mean that's no big deal. And the main thing about Kaido is also, if you have it, you can get the super tandem with the rocks pirates and everything. I got enough copies of the rare recruit, I was able to max his super tandem, so I'll take that as free damage. But also put Kaido on your left side, because when you use the rocks pirates, you're going to get a Simla slot over there. And if you see here, when you tap with this character with a Simla or Wano slot, you get 10% resistance down for Striker and Powerhouse. So just free extra 10% damage added from like Kaido. Up to 20% damage if it's both classes. So Kaido's like super clutch there. I just realized the rocks are, their other type is Powerhouse too, so they would get a 20% damage increase from doing that with Kaido. So just make sure you put Kaido on that right side. After Kaido, you want to go ahead and proc Stussy. You, like, switch back over here just to refresh my memory what's on like stage 3, because there was so many gimmicks. Kaido removes those. Okay, yeah. So then after that, you want to go ahead and proc Stussy. What she's going to do is she's mainly here just to give you the slot buff. And the main thing about that slot buff is it's overridable. So that's then when you would want to go ahead and use... Just remember that they have the overridable slot buff. And what support did we have on Stussy? Oh, yeah, we had Robin. So when you use her special, she's going to give us a int or int conditional buff. So just a little bit of extra damage there. Let's see here. Oh, wait. I realized that type affinity isn't going to work, actually, because the enemy is Dex. So that type affinity, that wouldn't apply here. That's no biggie. So you don't need to worry about that support on Stussy. You can probably, if there's another type affinity support, that would be better, because you don't have a way to give yourself type affinity. I'm just going to like check real quick and see. Boost damage, type effect. So let me check and see, like, we don't need this support. Let's see if like there's any that's better here. Boost type affinity of slashers. Driven. Yeah, so it looks like, yeah, you're not going to be able to get like type affinity here, I don't think. I mean, you could use this one for, that's pretty good boost. Yeah, if you use this Black Maria, you get 1.5 affinity boost for striker characters. So I would put this over Kaido instead, over King, because you're going to need King for the next stage, but you don't need him for this one. So I'd probably put Black Maria there for that color affinity, and we can actually remove that. And I just want to see real quick, chat, if I could then possibly throw another chain support on there. So let's see, like, chain boost had to be inflicted by paralysis. 0.5 at the start of the final battle. 0.5 at the start of the final battle. Yeah, I would throw this one, this Dofi, then on Saturn, because you didn't need that support on Saturn. That was just a stat buff. Because Stussy has a bigger like multiplier anyway, so that way you can just get some like free extra damage there. And then just put like whatever support on Stussy. I'm trying to think of like who's gonna give me like the best damage here. Definitely Sakazuki. Okay, so sorry about that, chat. Now that I realize, like, wait, we're not gonna have affinity there. So now we're gonna have affinity from the Black Maria support. So, and actually a better affinity buff. So I'm glad I like stopped and like looked at that real quick. What units is she attached to, by the way? Okay. So now if we jump back over here, sorry about that, chat. You want to use the Roger Pirates next. So by using the Roger Pirates after Stussy, what they're going to give you is they're going to give you Territory Int, which you don't have that like color affinity here, so it's no big deal. But it is going to boost the attack of those Int characters. So either way, it's going to help like 3 of your team members. Like just have more attack anyway. So they're going to give you wait. I'm freaking tripping, chat. I totally forgot. Chat, that's totally my fault. I am tripping. I totally forgot that freaking Roger's crew gives you type affinity. I don't know like how I forgot that. So yeah, put King back on Kaido. I'm so sorry about that, chat. Yeah, you're going to get color affinity from... Just making sure, like... Yeah, I like goofed there. That was my big chat. You get color affinity from Roger's crew. I totally forgot about that. That's my fault there. So just totally forget that. So yeah, you're going to get your color affinity from Roger, and then you're going to get the chain multiplicative buff. Is there anything else that you get on here? If you have 6 or more strikers and stuff, yeah, you're going to get class advantageous effect also because we have a full board of strikers. And the enemy is Logia type, so you are going to get like that extra buff there since it is against Kizaru. Man, I'm sorry, I totally forgot they buffed like color affinity. I don't know. It was like, I remember they did territory, they did like class advantage, like that stuff, but it just somehow slipped my mind that Roger's crew did color affinity. I don't know how. So afterwards, then you're going to use the friend captain Rocks Pirate special. So their special, you're going to get Territory Striker, and afterwards you're going to also go ahead and get the you'll set the slots back to Tandem and Simla, so that way you can get the Simla orb on Kaido to go ahead and get that extra resistance down. Now, since you already have the orb buff from Stussy, you will get the target mark status on the enemy, and you'll also get their orb buff that will overwrite Stussy's. So after that, you're going to go ahead and use the EX Super, will be the last thing to do, and with it, it's going to apply a huge 50% resistance down for strikers. You're going to get super strength characters and super striker characters. Every character is a striker, so we're all going to get that benefit, and we'll be able to hit super tandem with recovery and Simla slots as well. And you're going to get so much damage on this that you're not even going to have to worry. So super, super, super easy there. So now going on to the next stage, and this is going to be the final fight, the Intrusion Battle. This one's against Sanji and Franky. It recommends using Roger's crew, Saturn, and Stussy. Again, the final boss is going to be weak to Striker. So they're going to give you on Battle 2 6 turns of paralysis. They're going to give you poison, 3 turns of bleed, and then threshold. If the threshold's removed, they're going to change all your slots to empty and give you a chain lock of 1.5. So obviously, you just want to bypass threshold. Which, by the way, I know I didn't mention here, we got rid of the Rainbow Shield, by the way. And the reason why we're hybriding the pirate crews here is Roger's crew bypasses threshold, and Rocks Pirates bypasses Rainbow Shield. So that's why you want to hybrid them, so that way you can get past both. So, okay, now going back to the quest guide here. On Battle 3, enemies weak to Slasher, you're going to get 10 turns of Special Bind, And let's see here, chain multiplier down. You're going to have chain attack down if it's less than 3.5. They're going to have 10 turns of rainbow shield, and all your slots are changed to poison slots. So again, there's some key supports on this one. Let me just flip back up here. This one was first provides an attack buff. Oh, I'm tripping, chat. I was tripping. Yeah. That wasn't color affinity on Robin. Going back to the prior one, that was attack buff. Yes. You do want Robin on there because you have no way to buff attack on that final stage. So do put Robin on Stussy. Man, chat, I don't know why I was tripping so much on like keys or just misreading that stuff. Sorry about that, chat. So yeah, that being said, going back to the final stage now, we're going to go over the steps now. So on stage 2, you're going to activate Stussy, and Stussy's going to remove the paralysis and the bleed that you're inflicted with. So Stussy's also going to give you that slot buff. And if you check the support that we have on Stussy, we have, what's his name? Hakugan on Stussy. When you're inflicted with paralysis, you'll get a 0.4 chain multiplicative buff, or a 0.4 buff to the chain multiplier, not multiplicative, a chain additive. So just to get some like extra damage on there, easily like throw that on there. So after using Stussy, you're going to go ahead and use the Roger crew that's down here. The Robin support is going to give you an attack buff, and they're also going to go ahead and let me just double check everything here. Give me 1 second just to flip back to the other screen. Okay, cool. So they're going to give you the territory, they're going to give you color affinity, and they're going to give you chain multiplicative buff, and they're going to give you class advantageous effect. But class advantageous effect obviously doesn't like apply here, just because like they're not weak until the final stage. So you'll have orb from Stussy, attack from the Robin support, color affinity from Roger. You're also going to get chain additive and chain multiplicative buffs, and territory. So then going on to the final stage, what you want to do is first you're going to use Saturn. And let me again just double check my supports here. So there was one line in Saturn's. Where was it? Boost cruise attack by 1.5. Yeah. So again, like I said, there's key supports on here. Oh, by the way, the poison on stage 2 is removed by this Marco. So you only need him on like level 1 support. He removes the poison. And you need a support to remove the poison there because Saturn, yes, he completely removes poison, but you want to wait and use him on stage 3 so that he gets rid of your poison slots instead. So use Saturn first with this. It's per quest if you use damage on special. So Saturn special does deal damage, so you're going to get Law's slot buff first. So you want to do that. So that's important. Just remember, like after using this, you're going to get Law like to activate the slot buff. He'll give you the territory, etc. He's going to give you the like big attack buff. And what else did Saturn give you? Further increases cruise. Yeah, right there. Further increases cruise slot buff. But that won't matter because we have the Law support on him. So the support won't trigger till afterwards. He's just mainly here just to remove the poison slots and trigger Law to give you the attack buff, or the slot buff, and then he gives you the attack buff. So then after Saturn, you're going to go ahead and use Kaido. We have the King support on here to give you a chain additive buff of 0.8. So a really big chain additive buff. And Kaido is literally only here just for points and to give the base attack boost and the super tandem. So he's just here for like that stuff, just to get that buff from him. he's really not needing this fight. He's needed more in the last one. He's just not as good as Stussy as a rare recruit in general. Following Kaido, then you're going to use the Roger crew that is your friend captain. So by using them, again, you're going to get territory. They're going to remove... Oh, shit. I actually forgot. You need to use Roger's crew first, actually, because they're removing your special bind. Yeah, so you have to use the Roger crew first. That was my B. Totally forgot about that. So yeah, use Roger crew first. They're going to give you... They're going to remove the special bind. So go Roger, Saturn, then Kaido is the order you want to go in. And he's going to give you territory. He's also going to remove, give you the type affinity. He's going to give you chain multiplicative buff to go with King's chain additive buff. And he'll give you class advantageous effect. So we'll be good to go there. You won't get the further increase to the buff because it's Sanji and Franky, so they don't fit the requirements for being a Devil Fruit character. But that's fine. Like you totally don't really need that. Then lastly, after using Roger, Saturn, Kaido, you then want to use the Rocks Pirates and their EX again. And by using them again, you're going to get Territory Striker. You'll go ahead and change your right column into Tandem, left column into Simla, all that good stuff. Since we had the orb buff from the law support, we'll get the set target status, which I feel like was more valuable than having that huger orb buff. I felt like I really wanted the set target status. So if you don't have the law support, don't feel like it's absolutely needed. It's just that instead of then getting set target status, you would get the larger chain buff because we don't have a way to trigger Rocks Pirates twice. And then lastly, you're just going to use their EX. And using their EX is going to give you the big resistance down and allow for the super tandem with recovering Simla. And it's also going to change it to super strength and super striker. So not worried about either of these two fights. Really, I'm not worried about any of these. This was a super easy treasure map to build for. Now, of course, I did have the full boosted batch for the final two fights here. Without them, obviously, they are tougher. You probably will need someone to bypass defensive effects for both of them. The only thing is I don't really know a good bypass defensive effects units that is Striker. So just be wary when building in that regard. But other than that, I hope these teams help you guys make your teams. Again, sorry I got a little confused there. For some reason, I just read that Robin support as type affinity. I got her mixed up with Happiness Punch Nami, but no, it was right. Those supports were set up right. So both those teams look super similar. It's just make sure you switch how you're hybrid them, and if you switch how you're hybrid them, make sure you have the unit that would do the type affinity down here. So your friend captain should be the one, obviously, that you want to deal the more damage with. Should be the same unit that you have in this bottom slot down here. So versus Sanji and Franky, make sure you have Roger here and Rocks Pirates as your captain. And versus Kizaru, you want to make sure you have Roger as the captain and Rocks Pirates down here. But other than that, I hope y'all have a great rest of your day, and I wish y'all the best of luck in your pulls. I will see y'all Wednesday around lunchtime again for our treasure map stream. I won't be streaming Treasure Map Thursday around lunchtime. If I stream on Thursday like I'm planning, it would be my regular stream times at night. So plan on having the 2 Treasure Map streams, but Wednesday at lunchtime and Thursday night. I will see y'all then. And again, good luck in your pulls, good luck in your Treasure Map, and I hope y'all have a great rest of your week. Check y'all later.